what are your thoughts now that he's in place? We still don't really know the makeup of the coaching staff.
Right.
There's been some positive recruiting news. The quarterback is sticking around. The one that they had signed for was it Bryce Blake?
Bryce Baker.
Baker. I was close.
4-star kid, good player.
Yeah.
You probably don't necessarily want him to be the starter for the first game of the Bill Belichick era against TCU, but you've got another year of eligibility with Max Johnson. I guess we'll find out from Jacoby Criswell what his future is going to be. And look, I think that there's probably still some portal interest out there for another quarterback as well. So
should be.
I just love that his first portal signee was a center from Holy Cross. I mean,
yeah, they got a center from Holy Cross and a player from Delaware.
Mr. like 6th round draft pick from Marist, is of course going to be finding all these lacrosse players that are overlooked and under recruited. Why do we even need $20 million in NIL? I mean, Bill Belichick, he doesn't like 1st round picks. Why is he going to need $20 million in NIL?
How many times will he trade back in the transfer portal?
Yeah, that's exactly. So the thing that has stood out to me, and I'm glad that we actually did get a chance to see the press conference in addition to get all this, sort of fallout, let everything sink in a little bit. But when North Carolina Athletic Director Bubba Cunningham multiple times in that press conference mentions this is a risk, this is a gamble, we are doing something that we have not done. We'll see how it goes. I think that is some of the most honesty that you might get from North Carolina leadership on the topic.
Sure.
Because you spin it out with stuff that I do believe in. Your favorite, Indiana. The Indiana example, that somebody went to Indiana and said there might be a time in the future where simply being in the Big Ten is not good enough to be at the highest levels of college football. Like there might be a time where you need to have a serious football program to be a part of whatever Super League or Super League type system exists, because that will be where the big media rights deal is signed. And everybody else will be playing second fiddle the same way that the American Athletic Conference does, the same way that the Big East does with its basketball conference, but that the really, really big money that the university and the whole athletic department gets to spend, that will be reserved for serious football schools in the future. And maybe somebody inside North Carolina is thinking, look, just being North Carolina and having all these national championships and all these other sports might not get us to that level. So we need to at least start getting serious about football. The reason why I like the fact that they are saying risk and they are saying gamble, that's because you could be Texas A&M, spend just as much as anybody else, and be 8-4 and not have a conference title for decades. Because Texas A&M, while that doesn't stretch back to 1980, they have valued football, prioritized football, spent in football. They have not won a conference title since 1998, and they have not won a national championship since definitely before Vietnam. I think it's like the 50s or the 40s or something. So just spending and just investing will not equal wins. That is the risk. That is the gamble. But all that said, I've never seen North Carolina go for it like they're going for it. So we'll see. It's great. It'll be great to watch.
This is the way I've termed it. I talked about it extensively on Thursday. It's one of the great experiments we have seen in intercollegiate athletics. It is a massive risk. There will be a massive outlay of private money that is helping to fund what needs to be funded here. I mean, I'm just really estimating. Now, we know the university is going to set aside 20-some-odd million for the revenue sharing whenever House versus the NCAA and that settlement is instituted. It's supposed to be instituted in July, I believe. It's supposed to be ready to go then. But who knows if it's going to be ready to go and what it will look like, because there's still so much to be decided with that. But let's just assume they do figure this out, which is probably not necessarily a good assumption with something as complicated as this. So North Carolina is going to have revenue sharing money. They're paying, the coaching staff and the GM staff, because Bill said he's going to have two different staffs, coach and then managing personnel, everything else that's connected to it. The coaches aren't going to be cheap. We know Bill's going to make $10 million a year, plus all those bonuses. My guess is with the private NIL, because that's going to be a supplement to what the university provides in revenue sharing money, I think you're talking about anywhere from $50 to $70 million a year, and the university isn't going to fund all that. So that's a lot of private donations. You have to have a return on investment there. That's like I talked about this being a pass-fail, and the pass threshold is like an A. Everything else below an A is a failure.
That was, of course, I get boxed into a little bit of a corner, but I accept that. I mean, I've been with the company for long enough that I should be expected to be a voice of authority on the matter. And because I went to North Carolina and because I live here, they were like, all right, Carolina guy. Okay, Carolina guy. What you got to say, Carolina guy? And so I really thought about it. And kind of what you're saying is what I ended up writing as sort of my own, because I didn't know if you knew this, but Bill Belichick content is great for business.
No way. That's what I was trying to tell people. How excited I was because, look, this is good. This is going to be awesome for us. Perfect.
There is no limit on the number of columns, angles, and takes that we were looking for on Bill Belichick. But what I said was, look, then raise your standard, right? I mean, they're just like, don't let Bill Belichick make $10 million a year. Don't be spending all this money on NIL and all this money on hiring all of his coaches and building out a pro pipeline to just get the same results that Mac Brown is getting. Hold him to a standard of being transformational. Mm-hmm. If you're going to make a transformational investment, then make him deliver transformational results. And the way that I said it in the column was, it's been 45 years since they won an ACC championship. Generations of North Carolina football fans might not think championships are possible because they just haven't seen it. And so while there's an onside kick attempt against Clemson and a 9-win season that did end up playing for a conference title, real ACC championship contention is just not something that true generations of North Carolina alums and fans have ever believed. It was just something fun you did until basketball season got going. You want to win more games than you want to lose. You want to have some good players come through the program. But internally, culturally, the standard just has not even been considered the idea that you should be on Florida State's level. You accepted being a lesser than. And so if you're going to spend like Florida State spends, then you should hold yourself to the standard that Florida State does, and that is competing for championships. So the pass-fail, in my opinion, is whether or not Bill Belichick leaves Chapel Hill and ends his time as a head coach with an ACC title.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you can get away with 8 or 9 wins in year one, right? But you have to be double digits. You have to be pushing for a spot in the college football playoff. You got to be playing for conference championships, all of that. There's no doubt. The way this is framed with the amount of money that is being poured into it, you have to get over that hurdle. Otherwise, it is a failure. And
or a poor investment, which equals failure.
I mean, that's a failure.
Maybe North Carolina crashes out and they walk away from this like, you know what? We aren't a football school. Maybe. Yeah, well, I don't disagree with that at all. Look, what I don't know is what the stomach is for how long they'll put up with, like after 1 year. So let's just say you go 9-3, which would be a good year, honestly, for North Carolina. And I would say that 7, 8, 9 of their games will be either primetime games or feature games on network television, because Bill Belichick is going to be a fascination for everybody. Especially, it's in a lot of ways, it's like Dion when he first got to Colorado. So I'm just curious for how long people will put up with it. I think the stomach for it is probably not more than 3 years. But I think this is transactional anyway. I think Bill's using the university, and I think the university's using Bill, and I'm okay with it because I don't see how anybody could believe that he's here for the college experience. It's an experiment for him too. I've started to buy into the spite angle
Oh no, but I think that's part of it being transactional.
You don't think I can do it anymore? Yeah. Well, watch this, NFL, and you jump into college and you bring all your boys back and you take over a place where there's a hunger and there's no desire, there's no path, there's no blueprint. So I get it. I under like you said, who gets more out of this? Bill Belichick. Does Bill Belichick get more out of North Carolina, or does North Carolina get more out of Bill Belichick? My guess is that Bill Belichick will get more out of North Carolina. I believe that it is possible, though, that North Carolina could end up on the other side of this, just forever changed in terms of the way that it treats football and the way that it treats athletics. And like we said, it's good for business. It's a lot of fun to talk about.
It is. Yes, it's great for us. I explained that to somebody who's a former professional athlete, and I said, "Oh no, this is awesome for me."
Very good.
And he goes, "You're so selfish." I'm like,
yes,
no, I root for the show.
I root for me.
Yeah, exactly.
I would like for my predictions to come true. I would like for my opinions to sound smart based on the results of the game. And I would root for not having to go to 8 overtimes on Thanksgiving weekend when all I want to do is go to bed.
My gosh. I would like to fix overtime in college football.